The Cowboys have now completed 4 total training camp practices, 3 of those being competitive, and 1 was a walkthrough. But one wide receiver is already starting to ball out. Rookies are playing well, with other guys not having such a great start to camp. We have so much to talk about, what we've learned from those practices, so let's get into the video. Let's start with the rookies and the draft picks, the young guys that we're really looking forward to making an impact in 2024. And that starts at left tackle with Tyler Guyton, who to start camp obviously wasn't on the first team. That's something that we talked about all offseason, and after the draft, the Cowboys want to see guys earn the star. They know they're not going to put them in there with the first team, the first reps of practice. But Tyler Guyton has already started working with the first team by the end of the 3rd competitive practice. Obviously, they're not in pads just yet, but we still got a little bit of work, and it seemed like Guyton held up well against Micah Parsons. And we haven't got to see one-on-one defensive line versus offensive line work just yet, but it's nice that Guyton is making a good first impression in these practices and already getting work with the first team offense. Because a lot of people said that Guyton might need work and not start the season, but right now it kind of seems like he's on the trajectory to be this team's left tackle. And I really hope so, because Guyton has done every single thing right up to this point. There was an interview of him talking about how much work he's put in this offseason, no vacations. He was working every single day up to this point. And it just gets me fired up that the Cowboys drafted somebody with those intangibles, that work ethic in the first round. Right now, it seems like Tyler Guyton is going to be a damn good player for the Cowboys in 2024 and beyond. Now let's talk about a guy that we've kind of grouped with Tyler Guyton in Cooper Beebe, who hasn't really gotten chances at center with the first 2 teams, mainly working at guard with the second team and working at center with the 3rd team offense. Now that's not really a reason to worry right now. Beebe was a 3rd round pick, and as we've talked about with the Cowboys, they think that he needs to earn it. Also, a lot of the guys that he's going to be working with in the preseason are on that 2nd and 3rd team. Now, as these practices get on, the pads come on, we see these one-on-one drills. I really hope Beebe starts getting more opportunities at center on the 3rd team, the 2nd team, and eventually the 1st team, competing directly with Brock Hoffman. When the pads come on, hopefully we'll start seeing that power that we've talked about with Cooper Beebe, a people mover in the middle of that offensive line. And honestly, with the way that training camp is set up, there's very minimal contact. I think that the preseason is the perfect spot for Beebe to show that power, mauling guys, pancake blocks, all of that stuff. That's when I think the Beebe conversation as the starter week 1 is really gonna start to rise. Another draft pick and somebody that we thought was a steal in the 5th round is Kayden Carson. Really quick, guys, 75% of you that watch this channel are not subscribed, so head down there, hit that subscribe button, and don't miss a single video about Cowboys training camp. Now, let's get back into it. Who was making plays throughout the 4th day of practice, including an insane interception down the sideline. Carson is sticky in coverage. He tracked the ball down the field like a wide receiver and then high pointed the ball for the interception on a pass that was thrown a little too inside of the receiver. We said it in April. This felt like a steal. We're starting to feel that way in July, and for a rookie corner to come in, make a play like that in training camp, get the defense hype. The Cowboys have a pretty good track record of hitting on corners in the later rounds. Kayden Carson has really started to show out, and I cannot wait to see him in the preseason, in the one-on-one drills when we get the pads on. I am so excited to see Kayden Carson do more and more things for this defense and potentially get opportunities as a rookie in that cornerback room. Now let's head over to the veterans of this training camp, and let's quickly talk about the guy that threw that interception to Kayden Carson in Trey Lance. Multiple reports have said that he hasn't played very well so far to start camp. He's had missed throws, there's signs of slow processing, which was an issue in San Francisco, and a reason that he never really panned out there. Now, it's training camp. I think we can overreact to a lot of clips that we see, but I think the preseason is going to be more telling telling for everything that we know about Trey Lance. He'll be able to use his legs. The Cowboys will hopefully have an offensive plan for him. He won't be getting 1 to every 5 reps that Dak is. It's more of an opportunity to show that skill set. And I'm sure the dude's nervous. Everybody's saying that he's Dak Prescott's replacement, the Dak contract's not done, yada, yada, yada. But reports for him just haven't been great. But for Lance, let's really let him settle in, not overreact to clips that we see on social media. He has had good moments as well. I'm not out on Trey Lance. I'm not overreacting just yet. Let's see what happens when the preseason rolls around. Now let's switch over to another veteran name that a lot of people probably don't recognize in Tyron Billy Johnson. Yes, this guy is a veteran, somebody that was at camp last year, but has actually played for 11 NFL teams in his career. This is not a rookie. This is not a particularly young wide receiver, but is someone that is showing out at Cowboys camp. Every single year, we see a guy come into camp and absolutely blow the doors off the first couple of training camp practices, and that's what Billy Johnson has done. He's played extremely well for a guy that I didn't expect a whole lot of buzz from in this training camp. He was even getting reps with the first team offenses and catching passes from Dak Prescott. I talked about other guys in this wide receiver room that could potentially be sleepers like Corey Crooms or Jalen Marino Cropper, but right now it's Tyron Billy Johnson. And the first couple of practices don't make or break a player and making this 53-man roster. It's gonna be about continuing that into training camp practices and the preseason. We've seen guys come out on fire and then not make the team after they kind of flare out as training camp goes on. But right now, Tyron Billy Johnson is the wide receiver to watch as potentially taking one of those last few spots. We've talked a lot of offense. Let's talk about the defense. Mike Zimmer, Micah Parsons, this is part of our veteran overview. Apparently, the Cowboys defense has been showing a ton of different looks in their front seven. A lot of different guys rotating in and out, and the most important part is what they're doing with Micah Parsons. Mike Zimmer had this to say when asked about Micah, his ability to move around the defense and make things tough on the opposing offense. He's got great acceleration, great quickness. He's extremely bright. He's got power and strength. We're trying to figure out a lot of different ways to move him. One week he might be doing this, and then the next week doing something else. We're trying to get him one-on-ones as many times as possible. Playoff games and a lot of the games they struggled with last year, they knew where he was and they found him. And they did a good job. Sometimes we're going to have to use him when the offenses are focused on him. We're going to be bringing people from the other side. They can't just sit there and key on him. And this is so refreshing to hear and almost a shot at Dan Quinn and what he did with Micah Parsons by putting him on one side of the defense, leaving them there. Offenses figured out that Micah was going to be rushing from the edge every single snap. There's ways to combat a pass rusher, but with Micah moving around the defense, it seems like Zimmer is realizing the importance of Micah being involved, moving around, finding ways to make an impact as a linebacker, as an edge rusher, as a blitzer. That's exactly what this defense needs. And I think this is a big reason that people complain about Micah falling off in big games. Teams knew how to keep him from wrecking their game plan as the season goes on, especially better teams and better coaches. And Mike Zimmer wants to make sure that doesn't happen again. Off the ball, on the ball, make sure he is 100% a factor on every single snap, every single game, every single week. I love it. I think it makes the defense better, and I think it makes everyone better in the linebacker room and the defensive line room. And while we're talking about the defensive line room, let's quickly go over an injury that happened in the Cowboys practice yesterday to defensive end Sam Williams. Luckily for the Cowboys, a team that didn't do a whole lot in free agency, the defensive end room is okay. It's not a complete just washout with Sam Williams gone. They do have options, chess pieces to move around, like Mike Zimmer said, to kind of fill that void. I just wanted to say I feel so bad for Sam Williams. It seemed like he was going to be a big piece in this defense. This was the year for him to make his mark, get paid, because next year you might be looking at a completely different coaching staff in Dallas. Under Mike Zimmer, it felt like Williams was poised for a big season. Plus, you think about a guy that worked all offseason to get ready for this moment, and he makes it through 3 training camp practices. You just got to feel for the guy. I hope he has a quick, speedy recovery, comes back even better next year, and really gets an opportunity to shine in Dallas. Tomorrow, the first day of pads, real contact, one-on-ones. I cannot wait to talk about it. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.